Everyone wants massive wealth. Everyone dreams of financial freedom, early success, and the perfect moment that changes everything. But almost no one respects the power of small progress. In a world that glorifies shortcuts and speed, slow growth feels invisible, yet it's the only kind that lasts. The truth is, people don't lose because they're unlucky. They lose because they're impatient. Benjamin Graham, the father of value investing, saw through this illusion long before the rest of the world caught up. While everyone else searched for miracle wins, he studied the mathematics of patience. He believed wealth didn't come from excitement or risk. It came from small, consistent steps repeated over time. The path to fortune wasn't hidden in noise or trends. It was hidden in discipline. Most investors chase fast gains, believing success means constant movement. But Graham quietly built a philosophy that said the opposite. He understood that the market rewards those who move slow, think deep, and trust time. To him, a small daily action was more powerful than 100 emotional reactions. Because when those actions compound, they create something unstoppable: momentum. Every empire of wealth starts with something small. One saved dollar, one patient decision, one moment of restraint. The world mocks small beginnings, but time doesn't. Time multiplies them. Graham's brilliance was seeing that wealth was never about speed, it was about sequence. Each choice builds on the last, turning invisible progress into exponential results. He taught that the secret isn't to do more, it's to do less, but consistently. The real magic of money isn't in motion, it's in compounding. That's how Warren Buffett, Graham's student, turned tiny investments into an empire. He didn't move faster, he moved wiser. Every patient year built another layer of wealth. While the crowd trades endlessly for quick wins, the wise invest quietly for lasting ones. Small steps may feel insignificant today, but under the surface, they're working. They're multiplying, growing, expanding. That's the paradox. Doing less can achieve more, if you do it long enough. By the end of this story, you'll see what Graham saw. That massive wealth isn't a miracle. It's math. It's the science of small steps done with patience, the art of doing little things that add up to everything. Because in the end, the biggest fortunes don't come from speed. They come from stillness, repeated daily. Benjamin Graham believed every dollar is a soldier, quiet, loyal, and ready to fight for your future. You don't need an army to begin. You need discipline to train the few you already have. Each dollar you save, each wise reinvestment you make, becomes part of a growing force. It doesn't happen fast, it doesn't make noise, but over time it becomes unstoppable. That is the law of small steps. Slow, simple, compounding action that eventually rewrites your financial destiny. Most people fail not because they're wrong, but because they stop too soon. They underestimate what steady progress can do. They want to feel success immediately, to see proof right away. But the truth is, compounding doesn't reward the impatient. It builds in silence, invisible for years, before it suddenly becomes obvious. Every small decision you make is a seed, and the moment you stop watering it, growth stops too. Graham's genius was knowing that those who endure the quiet years end up owning the loud ones. He taught that the beginning of wealth is not brilliance or luck, but repetition. The daily act of saving, investing, and trusting time builds a foundation stronger than any market crash. It's the same reason Buffett calls compounding the snowball effect. It starts as a handful, barely rolling, but with every turn it grows heavier, faster, more powerful. You don't see the impact at first, but when it hits momentum, it becomes unstoppable. Every investor dreams of the breakthrough moment, the big trade, the perfect timing. Graham replaced that fantasy with something simpler: progress you can control. You can't predict the market, but you can control your behavior. And your behavior, done right, compounds into wealth. The problem is, small steps feel too slow. People get bored. They compare themselves to others and forget that compounding doesn't care about comparison. It cares about consistency. Graham used to say, investing is most intelligent when it is most businesslike. In other words, methodical, deliberate, repeatable. Every saved dollar is a vote for your future self. Every reinvested return is proof that time is working for you, not against you. What looks small now becomes massive later. if you have the patience to let math do its work. Because wealth isn't a miracle. It's a process. And every empire of fortune starts the same way, one small step taken consistently until the world can't ignore it anymore. Benjamin Graham taught that compounding is not just a math equation. It's a test of emotion. The numbers are simple. The discipline is not. Anyone can understand compound interest, but very few can endure it. Because in the early years, it feels like nothing is happening. The growth is microscopic, invisible, almost insulting. That's why most people quit. Not because the formula fails, but because their patience does. Graham's real lesson was this: you don't earn big by being smarter. You earn big by staying calmer. When the market panics, you wait. When the crowd rushes, you observe. Compounding rewards those who can control themselves when everything else feels out of control. It's psychological endurance disguised as financial wisdom. The irony is that small moves rarely feel meaningful while you make them. Saving a few dollars, holding through small fluctuations, reinvesting modest gains. None of it looks impressive. But Graham knew those moments separate investors from speculators. The speculator seeks excitement. The investor seeks accumulation. The market tests this difference every single day. When prices rise, greed whispers, take profit. When prices fall, fear screams, run. But compounding only works when you silence both. It needs uninterrupted time to expand. Every emotional reaction breaks the rhythm. Every act of patience protects it. That's why Graham's greatest students, Buffett, Munger, Klarman, didn't win because they made perfect decisions. They won because they avoided unnecessary ones. The real battlefield isn't the stock market. It's your mind. Most people lose to impatience, not to logic. They confuse movement with progress, activity with achievement. But compounding doesn't care about motion. It cares about consistency. Time magnifies what you repeat, not what you chase. Graham often said the investor's chief problem is likely to be himself. He meant that the hardest part of wealth building isn't predicting markets. It is managing emotion. Staying calm when others panic is the rarest and most profitable skill in finance. Because when others sell from fear, the patient buy from conviction. And that's the true psychology of compounding, belief in small steps when no one else sees value in them. It's holding faith when results are invisible, and trusting math over mood. The longer you can stay disciplined, the more unstoppable compounding becomes. Because in the end, your portfolio doesn't grow by chance. It grows by character. Warren Buffett often said that his life changed the moment he read Benjamin Graham's The Intelligent Investor. He didn't just find a book, he found a blueprint. Graham's ideas turned Buffett from a curious young trader into a disciplined wealth builder. And the connection between them wasn't just about numbers, it was about mindset. Graham taught Buffett that the real magic of money comes from patience, not prediction. From small beginnings, not grand gestures. Buffett started exactly the way Graham preached, with almost nothing. He bought small stakes in companies most people ignored. He reinvested every return, no matter how small, and let time do the heavy lifting. Each small step built on the last until the quiet consistency became compounding momentum. What looked like luck decades later was really discipline disguised as destiny. He called compounding the eighth wonder of the world, but behind that wonder was Graham's mental framework, a way of thinking that turned patience into power. Graham taught that the market is a pendulum, swinging between fear and greed, and the intelligent investor stands calmly in the middle. Buffett lived that principle every day. When others rushed, he paused. When others panicked, he bought. His fortune wasn't built on brilliance. It was built on behavior. Graham had given him the emotional foundation that separates true investors from speculators. Buffett's greatest advantage was never timing the market. It was trusting time itself. Every great investor since has followed the same pattern, starting small, compounding quietly, and letting years do what days cannot. They didn't treat small steps as weakness. They treated them as leverage. Each decision became a brick in a wall of financial independence. Graham's teachings gave Buffett more than wealth. They gave him peace. He understood that once you align with time, stress fades. The goal isn't to beat the market every week. It's to let patience beat the market over decades. The results are inevitable when the process is consistent. The connection between Graham and Buffett is proof that slow doesn't mean small, it means strategic. It's how a few $100s became billions, how a mindset became a movement. The philosophy is timeless. Start small, think long, repeat forever. Because Graham showed Buffett something the world keeps forgetting, that greatness isn't born from speed, it's born from stillness multiplied by time. The greatest threat to wealth isn't loss, it's impatience. Every generation believes they've found a shortcut, a faster way to win the game. But Benjamin Graham warned that the faster you try to get rich, the faster you risk going broke. The market is designed to reward time, not timing. And yet, people keep chasing instant success, mistaking movement for mastery. Impatience destroys more fortunes than bad decisions ever did. It makes investors jump from one strategy to another, sell too early, buy too late, and abandon the plan right before it starts working. Graham understood that this emotional restlessness is the true cost most investors never see. They think they're losing money because of bad picks. In reality, they're losing time, and time is the most expensive asset of all. In today's world, impatience is everywhere. The internet glorifies quick flips, viral trades, and overnight millionaires. Every headline screams urgency. Every notification whispers fear of missing out. But Graham's wisdom cuts through the noise. The market is there to serve you, not instruct you. That single line is a shield against chaos. It reminds you that reacting to the crowd means surrendering your edge. Real compounding demands boredom. The kind of quiet consistency that feels too simple to matter. It's not glamorous to hold, to wait, to do nothing when everyone else is moving. But that boredom is where wealth hides. Each month of patience adds invisible layers to your future. Each moment of restraint compounds your advantage. Impatience, on the other hand, disguises itself as productivity. Checking prices, chasing trends, jumping in and out of trades. It all feels like progress, but it's noise. The truth is, the more you react, the less you compound. Graham taught that an investor's greatest skill is the ability to remain unmoved by short-term emotion. Patience is not waiting idly. It's staying consistent when everyone else gives up. It's trusting the process long enough to let it work. The hardest part of compounding isn't understanding it. It's enduring it. Time only rewards those who respect it. So when the world tempts you to move faster, remember Graham's quiet rebellion. That real strength lies in stillness. Every minute of patience adds power to your position. Every calm decision adds years to your wealth. Because the enemy isn't risk. It's the urge to rush what only time can build. Benjamin Graham believed wealth wasn't a mystery. It was an equation anyone could solve. The problem is, most people don't like the answer. Because the formula isn't speed or luck. It's consistency multiplied by time. Wealth doesn't come from massive moves. It comes from small decisions that never stop repeating. Imagine investing just $10 a day. It feels insignificant, like drops in a bucket. But those drops, left alone, become oceans. Compounding doesn't care how much you start with. It only cares how long you stay in the game. 1,000 impulsive dollars thrown away in a moment of excitement can never compete with the quiet power of a small daily habit that endures for years. Graham's entire philosophy rested on this truth. Repetition beats brilliance. He taught that steady effort turns average results into extraordinary outcomes. The market rewards endurance, not excitement. Each dollar you save is a seed. The longer it grows, the deeper its roots go. Over time, the invisible becomes inevitable. This is the wealth equation. Consistency, X time, your freedom. The math is simple, but the discipline is rare. Because consistency feels boring. There's no thrill in doing the same smart thing every day. But while most people chase novelty, the wise chase stability. Graham and his students understood that the real miracle isn't in predicting the next big win. It is in letting small wins stack without interruption. Compounding is exponential, but emotionally invisible. For years, nothing seems to happen. Then suddenly, everything happens at once. Warren Buffett's fortune proves it. More than 99% of his net worth appeared after his 50s. That's not coincidence. That's compounding reaching escape velocity. Graham's teachings were the rocket fuel: patience, reinvestment, and calm repetition. Every investor faces two choices daily: chase noise or feed compounding. The first feels exciting, but empties you. The second feels dull, but builds everything. The difference between ordinary and extraordinary isn't knowledge, it's time served in silence. Wealth, in Graham's world, was never about having more. It was about becoming more, disciplined, patient, and unshakable. The investor who respects small steps understands that fortune is just time made visible. Because wealth isn't built by the rich, it's built by the repetitive. The journey from small steps to massive wealth isn't a secret, it is a sequence. Benjamin Graham didn't just teach how to invest, he taught how to think. He replaced greed with discipline, replaced noise with logic, replaced urgency with time. His students didn't chase wealth. They allowed it to arrive, slowly, inevitably, through patience stacked on patience. The truth is, the market has always been a mirror. It reflects who you are more than what you know. If you're restless, it punishes you. If you're calm, it multiplies you. Graham's philosophy wasn't about beating others. It was about mastering yourself. Because every investor's real battle isn't against volatility, it's against impulse. Small steps, massive wealth, isn't just a slogan. It's a mindset shift. It's the idea that every consistent move, no matter how small, compounds into something extraordinary when guided by time. Every small investment, every act of restraint, every quiet decision adds another layer to your future freedom. Most people underestimate what patience can do because its rewards arrive silently. There's no fanfare when compounding starts to work, only clarity. Graham's wisdom lives in that stillness. He proved that greatness in finance and in life belongs to those who can stay steady when everything else demands speed. Wealth is never built in the spotlight. It's built in the shadows of daily repetition. It's the person who keeps saving, keeps reinvesting, keeps believing in the slow climb who ends up at the summit. The difference between noise and mastery is time, and the courage to let it pass without panic. So, when you see others sprinting, remember, your edge is endurance. You don't need to move faster, you need to move longer. Because every giant result starts with a tiny step that refuses to stop walking. Benjamin Graham's rule was never about perfection. It was about persistence. His students built legacies not because they took big leaps, but because they never stopped taking small ones. So take your first small step today. Invest in patience, in process, in yourself, because the wealth you dream of isn't built overnight, it's built over time. The small steps you take today might not impress anyone, but one day they'll define your freedom. Massive wealth is not a miracle, it's the math of patience. Subscribe to Depth Invest, where we decode timeless financial wisdom for real independence.